So I'm going to show you how to make these really neat looking beads. I made a collection of small ones and I'm going to continue making more to make a strand. It's going to make a really cool necklace. So all that's in here is clear glass and frit, and I'll show you the frits in a moment, but the base is one color frit and I'm using a painting technique that I learned from Val Cox's Frit book. And then there's some speckles on the surface just to give it a little bit of visual interest. The only glass you need is clear. Okay, so here are the frits I used for these beads. Boro Boro, which is a reactive frit blend, and that I'm using for the base coloration in the glass. And then translucent scarlet earth. For the painting technique, I like to put the frit in a small bowl because I will be dipping my mandrel in it. And for the little speckles that are on the surface of the beads, I like to have it in something low that I can just kind of tap the bead in and pick it up. And so for this I am using a stainless steel Chinese soup spoon, and you can find those on Amazon. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make these frit beads, 3 to the mandrel at once. Once you get the hang of it, they go pretty quickly. They're fairly small beads, and it doesn't take too long to make a whole collection of them, and they string up really nicely. So what I've done is I've heated the end of my super clear, and I'm touching it into my frit. And if you can see that, the frit is pretty much only on one side, and this top part here has got clear on it. And I'm melting that in and softening it up. When I apply it to my mandrel, I'm going to put the clear side down on the mandrel and the frit side up. That way when it winds it, it is putting the frit not so much densely in the middle. It's going to space it out and give it some striations throughout the thickness of the bead. And then I'm going to add some more clear until I get it up to the size that I want. I have some other beads that I've made sitting on my marvering pad there, so I can kind of use them as a size reference so I can get them all to match. The other trick you can do to kind of help even out the frit is when you have it on the mandrel, you can heat it up and sort of let it droop and run around the world, as I call it. So it's just kind of running around the mandrel and kind of winding in a singular direction, and that will create some more swirls around the bead and it makes it look pretty neat. All right, so that one is done. I'm going to let it's not completely done, but that part of it is done. I'm going to start working on the next one. So I'm going to heat up my glass rod on the one side, touch it in my frit. The Boro Boro frit has some reduction glass in it, so you want to make sure while you're applying it this way that you have an oxidizing flame. If you use a reduction flame, you'll have a lot darker colors and you won't get as much of that ethereal blend. Okay, so I'm going to rewarm that first bead a little bit. Heat up my landing part on my mandrel, put the clear side down, frit side up, and wind on the color. Add enough glass till I get the size matched. And every now and then go back and add a little bit of heat to the bead that's already been made. Let that melt in. That first bead isn't too far from the flame, so it's probably still getting a little bit of radiant heat at this point. You want to get the sizes to match. I'm going to add on just a touch more. And I want to heat this up pretty good and let it droop around the world, so to speak. Okay, it's hot and runny. I'm going to let that run around the bead. I'm keeping an eye on the bead on the mandrel while I'm heating up my stringer, tapping it in my frit. Add a bit of heat to my first one. Don't want him to get too cold. Melting in my stringer. Now I'm going to heat up my landing spot on my mandrel. Touch the clear spot down and wind on bead number 3. A bit insurance heat. Continue building up the glass until the sizes match. And the next step after this is to add some speckled frit, just for some visual interest. And I'm using a fairly fine grind #1 frit, just to put something on one side on the outside. It just adds a little bit of variety to the bead. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to sort of make a mountain ridge down the length of this spoon, which is holding my frit, and I'm going to be able to dip all 3 and just touch them right down on that mountain rod. But I need to get the beads warm on the one spot. So first I'm going to put a bit of insurance heat in each of them. We don't get any cracking going on here. And then I'm going to pick one spot on each, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go back and forth in that same spot so that they are each heated up enough that they will pick up some of the frit. I'm going to put that on the bottom, touch it to the little mountain, and pick up those frits on all 3 beads at once. So it goes pretty quickly. You could probably fit 4 in. If you had a trough or something else for the frit, you could probably even get more in a mandrel and pick it all up at once, or do them one at a time. All right, so let me get a little bit more insurance heat, or a bit more heat in this guy, and there you have it. 3 at once, ready for the kiln. So here are some of the beads that I made using the technique I just demonstrated. And here are several more I will show you on a strand here so you can actually see some of the details and some of the translucency. I'm really happy with the way they came out. Okay, so I also wanted to show you a focal bead using that same technique I just demonstrated. This one is made using a Zuzi's Slim XL press. I really like the shape and the size of it, and it's overall it's not too thick. It doesn't take tons of glass, and it's great for jewelry. So this bead uses the Boro Boro in that paintbrush technique that I just demonstrated, the one that I learned about from Val Cox's Frit Secrets book. That also features some of the Boro Boro frit just applied, you know, as dots. These little speckles on the surface are the Scarlet Earth frit just applied, and you can see the deep striations. Those are from the paintbrush technique. It's got lots of layers in it, lots of clear. I used super clear on this. Anyway, have fun and try it out, and let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching. So be sure to check out my playlist on frit techniques. There are several videos already released, and there will be a few more coming up soon. There's a collection of organics bead styles. It's based on an article I wrote in Glassline magazine a number of years ago, and I did a variation on it using intense black as opposed to the original with silvered ivory. And you can use pretty much any color frit with that. I have a faux Boro video out there, and there's a number of alternates that you can do. The green is one of them, but this makes really cool dragon scale beads. I have one on an ethereal raku powder technique, is what I use to make these. They're pretty fun. And then I also have my nebula beads, and these make some really cool nebula looking thing using the iris reduction frits. And there's again some variations on a theme, and I have some tips in there what I found works best and what doesn't work. Some of the new videos coming out are going to be how to pull flat stringers from Frits, and these are great for floral beads. And I'm also going to have a new one coming out soon about how to use chunks and pull that into stringer. Sometimes you can get like a number 5 frit, which are chunks around this size, or sometimes you may get rod, actually in a rod it's a big 1-inch diameter cane, and you have to chop it up and you can use that. So I'll have a video on that coming out soon too. You can also take any of these size chunks or rods of glass and make your own frit. So I'll show you how to do that as well. So make sure you like and subscribe so you get notification of all the new stuff coming out. Thanks for watching. Bye.